Hello and welcome to Never a Truer Word. And listen, we've all seen Erin Patterson's guilty verdict in the mushroom murder case. What we're about to see here is different. This is her police interview. She's calm, she's careful, but she is full of red flags. So I'm going to give you the key moments in this police interview and show you the patterns that she uses, and you'll be spotting them alongside me. So by the end of this episode, you'll know more about catching a liar through their words than 99% of people, and you'll have seen a convicted killer do it in real time. Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you're new here, what I do is different from anywhere else because I strip away everything apart from the words that are said by the people at the heart of the story. And then I use my process of statement investigation to give you the key to seeing the truth, to seeing possible deception, and the motivations of the person talking. It's a process that I use with investigators, with the media, and corporate clients to get a real deep understanding of what is being said. And I am live with this. So welcome to everyone that is here. Hi, Erin. Hi to Blood Dripping Flowers. Hi, Sheila. I tried to talk to you earlier, but YouTube wouldn't accept my own comments. It's been a technical nightmare tonight trying to get this going. So hopefully we stay live for all the planned time. We've got Carrie as well. Lil Polly's there. I know Panic at the Discourse and Erin are there as well. So the whole reason I do this live is because I love to hear your questions, your observations, and also any things that you spot that you really want to get stuck into as well. So feel free to get involved in the chat. It's great to hear from you. Crocheting Bat, great username, is in the chat as well. And if you're on the replay crew, if you're getting this on catch up, then do just get involved in the comments as well, because I always look forward to seeing the comments on this. So let's look at Mushroom Lady, as she's, well, not really affectionately known, as she's known, Erin Patterson. This is a woman from Australia who had a Saturday lunch, and invited round some relatives of her ex-husband, the guy she split up with, and she invited them round for a meal. And shortly after that meal, 4 of the guests got seriously ill. 3 of them subsequently died. The other one finally made a recovery. She was charged with murder, and she was found guilty of those murders very recently. So, for all we're going to see, a bit of a dotty old lady at times, or middle-aged lady at times. This is someone who has done some serious harm, is a serious, are guilty of serious criminal offences. So we're going to look at her being interviewed by the police shortly after the deaths here. And she's obviously going to be saying, no, nothing to do with me. And we know she's lying, but can we spot she's lying as we go? Well, that's what we're going to look at as we dive into the police interview. And this, after we've, gone through the formalities, like what's your name, what's your address, what's your phone number, all that sort of stuff. This is the first question she is asked by the police. Stand by for this.
Trying to understand what has made them so ill. You understand?
Yeah.
Why we're asking these questions.
Yeah.
We're trying to understand why you're not that ill. Right? So you understand why we're interviewing you today?
Yeah, I do. But I'm sure you understand too that, I've never been in a situation like this before, and I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because I wanted to help that side of things as much as possible, because I do want to know what happened. So I've given them as much information as they've asked for and offered up all the food and all the information about where the food came from.
Right, so there you go. Answer number 1 to the first question from Erin there. And it's put to her by the police guy. We're trying to understand what has made them so ill. So this is the people that were at her house for lunch. Do you understand why we're asking those questions? Conversely, we're trying to understand why you're not ill. Do you understand why we're interviewing you today? And Erin's reply is quite something, because she starts with, yes, I do. Now that is the perfect honest answer. Yes, I do. Do you understand why we're talking to you today? Yes, I do. It's a yes/no question, and she's got a yes in there. So, that would be the perfect answer. And look, it's a very innocuous question. It is, do you understand why we're talking to you? And she says, yes, I do. And then everything that comes after that is all extra. So what we've got going on here is something that is important for her to say. And that is her going extra and getting across her point of view, trying to control the narrative, trying to get it out there about what it is that she wants to say. And what is this extra? When someone goes extra, it's really revealing because it shows what's a priority for them, what really is important for them to get across. So she says, but I'm sure you understand too that, and she goes on to say some other things. So we've got but. Now, everything after a but is a priority to the person. So when someone says da 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 da, but da 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 da, the second part, the bit after the but, is way more important to them than the first part. It's a real indication of where someone's priorities are. So not only are her priorities being shown here by going extra, her priorities are shown here by this but. And then she says, I'm sure you understand too, which is convincing language. So I'm sure you understand too, and what she's about to say is what she's sure this person understands, but she hasn't seek to get agreement that this person understands this. She's telling them what they understand. Convincing language, also that sort of thing is used a lot by manipulative people, saying, I'm sure you understand that, hoping that you're going, oh, if you're sure I understand it, this must be a no-brainer. In fact, if I don't understand it, I better wrap my head around it. So watch out for people talking to you in that way with, I'm sure you understand too. Then she says, I've never been in a situation like this before, and I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because I wanted to help that side of things as much as possible because I do want to know what happened. So I've given them as much information as they've asked for and offered up all the food and all the information about where the food came from. Classic resume statement. How good am I? Look at how helpful I've been. And also, my track record is amazing. I've never been in this situation before. By this situation, does she mean like, accused of murdering people? Or does she mean like being interviewed by the police in a police station? But she's just going pure resume statement here with, I've never been in a situation like this before. And I have been so, so helpful. So her priority, as indicated by her, is to say what a good person she is. Now, why does she feel the need to convince the police at this point that she's a good person? Possibly to get them off her back, to say, I'm a good person. Don't think bad of me. I'm telling you how good I am. So breaking down that resume statement, it does have some real tells in it. I've never been in a situation like this before, and I've been very, very helpful with the health department. So two verys persuading us. She hasn't just been helpful. She hasn't just been very helpful. She wants us to know that she's been very, very helpful. She's very, very persuasive there. I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because I wanted to help that side of things as much as possible. Now, that's really qualified. It's not that she's wanting to help everything. 3 people have died after eating at her house, and she's not saying, I want to help with everything that's gone on. I just want, my full, frank help with everything. It's just help with that side of things, and also only as much as possible. So therefore, who knows what possible is? That's her definition there. I've helped as much as possible. Maybe that means as much as I've wanted to for my, for my own good. So I've wanted to help just that side of things and only as much as possible because I do want to know what happened. So I've given them as much information as they've asked for. Therefore, again, she's not throwing the doors open and, letting them see all her books as it was. It is just, I've given them as much information as they've asked for. So that would mean if something came to her mind that was relevant or she thought they should know, she's saying in her words there, she hasn't told them that. I've only given them what they've asked for. And I've offered up all the food. Offered up again is just qualified again. It's not giving them everything. It's just offered them everything. And then she talks in some absolutes, all the food and all the information about where the food came from. Now, when someone talks in absolutes, do look out for that because it's very hard to be absolute. It's very hard to be a nice person all the time. It's very hard to try your best every single day. So when someone's doing that, they're in some sort of persuasive mode, offered up all the food and all the information. So we've got that resume statement, and inside it, lots of tells here that she is lying. The biggest tell that something is up here is the fact she wants to get ahead of the story with giving this resume statement and saying just how good she is. But inside that resume statement, so many tells. So here, this is question number 1, and the red flags are flying there. She's going extra. She's using a resume statement, and that resume statement, when you look into it, is highly qualified and has some real absolutes in it as well. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Erin says the behavior panel's premiere was on her today. Yes, I saw that. I mean, blatantly, I scheduled this yesterday. Do you think they nicked my idea? I'm only kidding. They didn't nick my idea. I would reckon that the behavior panel's take on this, if you haven't seen it already, would be well worth watching. We've got Panic at the Discourse coming in and saying her mother also passed, leaving her a huge inheritance, side-eyeing that. Interesting, because there's a part that we're not going to look at in this, where she talks about having 2 houses, and I was wondering how she managed to have 2 houses. That would explain that. Erin Chase, she is so flat. Her first words are about herself. Resume, I've been helpful, I'm polite. Exactly that, Erin. Well spotted. Sheila Duffy spotted the but. She says, yes, I understand. But yeah, there's something way more important coming here. Erin spotted the extra, the resume, and the politeness. Her priority is herself. Yeah. Now, what her priority wasn't, let's get to the bottom of what happened to these people that have died because something really bad has happened. Her priority was, look what a nice person I am. Panic at the Discourse is also telling she is a person diagnosed with fictitious disorder, Munchausen, and wasn't sick this time. We do deal with her sickness because Erin would disagree with you, Panic, that she was a little bit sick, although her words be liars. Just watch out for that one when Erin talks about how she suffered on the back of this. Socializing an attempt to persuade, says Erin, and we've got Hannah coming in saying, this answer reminds me of Sarah Boone's answers. I don't think you understand how good I am. Oh, Sarah Boone. I remember that. Yeah, she had real not problems. She really went big in there for the resume statement. Crocheting bat, is there a reference guide available somewhere what the different colors and underlines signify? There is not, because it's kind of random. Crochet bat, I tend to, I mean, if you really wanted to go into it, there are some little systems I use just to remind myself why I did things. But basically, the words are highlighted because they're the ones I want to draw your attention to. There are a couple of systems. I'll maybe point some out if I see them. But really, there is no guide there because it really wouldn't be worth very much to resolve. So there we go. Question number 1, we got some red flags. So let's have a look at what happened later on in this interview with Erin Patterson, mushroom murderer, pretending she's innocent, and the police.
Obviously, we've the mushrooms and where they've come from. Okay. Is that something you've done in the past, foraging for the mushrooms or anything like that? Never. Right. Do you preserve foods or anything like that?
No.
Have you ever dehydrated food or anything like that? You've described to me a relationship with your ex-partner Simon. Right. I'd like to understand why you had his parents and his uncle and auntie over for lunch on the 29th of July.
Because I've got no other family, so they're the only support I've got left, and they've always been really good to me.
Yeah.
And I want to maintain those relationships with them, in spite of what's happened with Simon.
Yeah. Okay.
I love them a lot. They've always been really good to me, and they always said to me that they would support me with love and emotional support, even though Simon and I were separated, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because my parents are both gone.
Yeah.
My grandparents are all gone. They're the only family that I've got.
Yeah.
And they're the only grandparents that my children have. And I want them to stay in my kids' life.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. And I think Simon hated that I still had a relationship with his parents. But I love them.
Yeah.
Nothing that's ever happened between us, nothing he's ever done to me will change the fact that they're good, decent people that have never done anything wrong by me, ever.
Okay, so We're getting into the real nitty gritty of her story now. Police guy says, obviously, we've got concerns in relation to the mushrooms and where they come from. Is that something you've done in the past, foraging for mushrooms or anything like that? And she says, never. And then the police guy goes, never. And she says, never. Now, never is just such a red flag for deception word. Again, like I say often, if someone says never in your life, it does not prove they're lying to you. But I would dig in around it. It's supposed to sound even more concrete. You know, this is a yes, no question. Is that something you've done in your past, foraging for mushrooms or anything like that? And she says, never. It's never. No, I haven't. So this shows a real need to persuade here with this never, which is why this never really is an indication of deception. And we've got some no's coming up now. Do you preserve foods or anything like that? No. Have you ever dehydrated food or anything like that? No. Now, are these just lies? Because we know she used dehydrated mushrooms. So are these just lies? Or is she using some sort of personal definition here to make herself feel sort of comfortable about this? So do you ever preserve foods? Maybe she doesn't consider herself a solid preserver who's preserving, stuff every single day. Then she could go, no. Have you ever dehydrated food or anything like that? Well, that's probably a lie she's willing to tell at this point, because it's really the crux of what is going on. So she says no. There is another bit here where you've described to me your relationship with your ex-partner, Simon. I'd like to understand why you had his parents and his uncle and auntie over for lunch on the 21st of July. Now, that feels like a really gossipy question, doesn't it? It feels like we have just the police guy doing a little bit of gossip. I would want to know that as well. But her answer is, because I've got no other family. So they're the only support I've got. Now, in the chat, someone made a really good point, which I hadn't spotted, which was Lily Polly, who says, no family. She's got kids and a sister. So, yeah, doesn't hang together, that one either, does it? So thank you for that, Lily Polly. I've got no other family, so they're the only support I've got. And they've always been really good to me. So we have, again, this absolute here. They've always been really good for me, to me, and really good. So again, we've got this persuasive stuff. So they've always been really good to me. And I want to maintain those relationships with them in spite of what's happened with Simon. Now, you'll notice this is an answer in general. It's not an answer about the 21st. It's not a very tight, specific answer. Why did you have them over for lunch on the 21st of July? I wanted to build some bridges with them. I invite them over regularly. I thought it'd be a nice thing to do. The kids wanted to see their wider family. It's not a really tight answer like that. It's a very specific question about why did you have them over for lunch? And it's a very general answer about relationships and the state relationships have been in the past. I love them a lot. They've always been really good to me. This absolute again. And what I think is what we've got going on there is just, again, it's this persuasive impression painting of, look, why would I want to kill these people? They've always been really good to me. Your tell in there is that absolute of always. And they've always said they would support me with love and emotional support, even though Simon and I were separated. What we have here is something that is sort of future focused. They would support me. They've always said to me they would support me. It's not these guys have always supported me. They've always supported me, and that's why I had them over for lunch. They said they would support me. I get the feeling here that she didn't get that love and emotional support from them. And there was a little bit of spite going on there with her for them, and spite towards the ex-husband as well, who just comes up kind of from nowhere about things that have happened between us. So, yeah. I think there's a real focus on the emotional here, which suggests to me that the crux of why she did what she did is emotional, because she's trying to say how the emotions around it, they're all fine. They've always been really good to me. But if you dig into the words, they haven't been supporting her, or she doesn't feel they've been supporting her. They said they would support me. And also, they've always been really good to me. That's the second time that she said that. They've always been really good to me. They've always been really good to me. So I think this is a line that she's rehearsed, and one that she thinks she wants to get out more than once to make it really believable with them. That's why she's repeating it. However, I think that means, I think she's got a resentment towards them, that she feels they haven't always been good to them. And she said, and I really appreciated that because my parents are both gone. My grandparents are all gone. Interesting there. I really appreciated that. So that's in the past tense. She's not appreciating that right now when she's talking. It's something that she did in the past tense. It's not something that is live for her there. They're the only family that I've got. Well, we picked up on that with Lily Polly saying, actually, you do have children and a sister as well, did we say? And they're the only grandparents that my children have, and I want them to stay in my kids' life. Now, this will become relevant as we go further and further into this and hear Erin talking some more about her children. Her children come late into every conversation that she has. It would have been a really good answer at the start of this. Why did you have your ex-husband's family over? So they could spend time with the kids. But the kids are an afterthought to Erin time and time again, as we will see, and it is there. And I want them to stay in kids' life. She's got a lot of wants and not a lot of gets when she's talking. She's things that she wanted to achieve, not things that she was getting at the time. So that's why I think there was some real umbrage there against these in-laws. And that's really important to me. And I think Simon hated that I still have a relationship with his parents, but I love them. Simon hated, so she has real animosity towards Simon. You can tell there is animosity towards Simon. He does never come up in a nice way at all. And that stutter on the I. When we stutter on the I, when we say I, it's a real ownership of what it is that we're talking about. And what we've got there is a stutter on the I, as if she's a bit nervous about joining herself up to that phrase. I love them. Did she really love them, or is that a lie? Nothing that's ever happened between us, nothing he's ever done to me will change the fact that they're good, decent people and have never done anything wrong by me, ever. We've got once more this animosity towards the ex-husband, Simon. Nothing that's ever happened between us, nothing he's ever done to me. Now, you'll notice she's letting the anger out towards the ex-husband. It's not really anger, but it's negative thoughts that things have happened between us and he has done things to her, but not towards the people who became victims of her lunchtime cooking. And then we've got a couple more of these absolutes, which are that have never done anything wrong by me, ever. So we've got red flag word, never, and done anything wrong to me, ever. She feels, I think, from analyzing her words, that they have done wrong to her. So here we go with the second bit that we've looked at. You'll remember way back at the beginning of this answer, very short answer on food. Have you ever owned a dehumidifier? No. Have you ever gone foraging? Never. But when she's talking about these ex-in-laws and why she has invited them, then what we have going on is a huge, long, old answer there. She avoids the reason for asking them on that day. So she doesn't have a ready-made reason there. So she did some waffle about what great people they were, probably a prepared answer. I think she wanted love from these people and she didn't feel like she was getting it. And definitely animosity towards her ex. Now, lots of people have animosity towards their ex. So I don't think it's any great shakes to point that one out, but that is what is there in her words. Right, what have we got going on in the comments then? Erin caught out on the never. Why not just no? So that was the have you ever gone foraging? Never. Yeah, highly deceptive. Erin, not lost to me that you have the same name as this person, by the way. I'm not a little bit scared. Panic at the Discourse picked up on never as well, as did Blood Dripping Flowers. The never is not concrete. Who do we have here? This is Cat in the Desert. She was lying. She disposed of her food dehydrator and she searched and visited Death Cap mushroom locations. Oh, yes, she was lying. And we will see one of those lies in action around that a little bit later on, Cat in the Desert. Erin, great perception, Jack. Her crime is completely emotional at its genesis. I think that is it. I think right in there is this feeling that these people have disrespected her, not given her love or something like that. I wonder if she was being flat to be locked down during the interview. Oh, yeah. So this was the flatness where she kind of sits like that and does that. I'm not sure she thought that much about it because she's not a master criminal at all. And in fact, maybe there was some sort of chemical flatness there as well in the form of sedatives. Now, my favorite person in the chat right now, because this is just a brilliant comment, Karen from Germany is in the house. Hello, welcome. Leave some of your DNA on the like button. So please, yes, leave some of your DNA on the like button. In fact, let's talk all about that sort of stuff just now. If you're getting something from this, if you are learning to spot the words that liars use, then if you press the like button, it helps that get to even more people. If you want to get regular episodes like this as well, then do subscribe to the channel, because I'm on a mission to upskill as many people as possible into spotting words like never, seeing resume statements when they ask sensitive questions and so on. So this helps all this get out to more people. Something as simple as the like button or something as simple as subscribing to this channel just means this goes even further. So if you do any of those things, you are my best friend tonight. Can I also mention Sheila Duffy, who is like the marketing department of Never a Truer Word, and always stick something out to her followers on X just before we do a live. That I really appreciate that, Sheila. You don't have to do that, and it's really appreciated that you do that. By the way, if you want to dig into the archives, I have done some more on Erin. She did an interview shortly after outside her house, which she should never have done, where she was highly, highly deceptive. I remember seeing that at the time and going, yeah, she did this. So if you want to dig into the archives as well, then do check them out. Right, shall we go back into this police interview and get some more from Erin Patterson?
Told that on the 31st of July, so 2 days after the lunch, you went to the Leongatha hospital, okay, and that you were only there for about 5 minutes and then you left. Can you explain why you went there for 5 minutes?
Yeah, because I just went there thinking I needed a couple of bags of saline because I was really dehydrated. And they said, we want to admit you and send you to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And when you've got animals at home,
Yep.
and children who have multiple after-school activities, you can't just be told to drop everything and you're off to Melbourne for overnight. So I had to go home and feed the animals and pack my daughter's ballet bag.
Yep.
And I did that, and I went back.
Okay. Who did you speak to?
So I walked in,
Yep.
and there was like, I don't think they were a nurse. It was like, I don't know, it could have been an enrolled nurse, or it was like a helper person in the triage room,
Yeah.
right? And she's just like, are you okay? And I said, well, no, I have to run to the toilet. I've got diarrhea. And she wasn't quite sure where it was, and so she went and found out and showed me where it was. And then she said, I'll go and find someone. I'll get a nurse or a doctor for you. And so I went to the toilet. I came back out, and I was waiting in the triage area, and then a doctor came out, Dr. Webster, and he said to me, sorry, that we're going to be a little while because we've got a couple of critical patients in the hospital. And I said, that's fine, don't worry about me, I'm just a gastro case. I'm not urgent, obviously. And he said, oh, what's your name? And I said, Erin. And he said, oh, we've been expecting you because other people that you ate with on Saturday were sick.
Yeah.
And he said, can you come through? And I said, sure. And I came in. And then he said to me, I can't say the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, we've got a concern they've eaten death cap mushrooms.
Okay.
And I said, what? And he said, yeah, that's what we think they've eaten.
Yep.
And then he started asking me about what food I served them, and I told him.
What an answer we have there, and it's full jam-packed of tells from the policeman. We've been told that on the 31st of July, so 2 days after the lunch, you went to the Leongatha hospital, and you were only there for about 5 minutes, and then you left. Can you explain why you went there for 5 minutes? She says, yeah. Kind of a yes to that, because I went there thinking I needed a couple of bags of saline because I was really dehydrated, so very persuasive there again, really dehydrated. And they said, we want to admit you and send you to Melbourne. And when you've got animals at home and children who have multiple after-school activities, you can't just be told to drop everything. Now, what we have here, first of all, Sheila noticed it in the chat, is that in that list of things, she had animals at home. First priority is the first thing she mentions, and then children come after the animals. So in everything that I see her do, the children are the lowest priority there, which is very, very interesting. She's trying to do all these resume statements about what a great person she is. However, what we have is the animals coming first, the children coming second. And also you'll note that while she's trying to say, this is why I was in the hospital for 5 minutes, she doesn't say, this is why I was in the hospital for 5 minutes. It's how you would be. Is she socializing here, or is she just lack of commitment to what she's saying? Because it's not true. When you've got animals at home and children who have multiple after school activities, you can't just drop or stop doing everything and you're off to Melbourne for overnight. So for me, I think that's lack of commitment to the animals and children story. So I had to go home and feed the animals and pack my daughter's ballet bag. And I did that and I went back. So once more, the children, the daughter in this case, comes after the animals in her telling of the story. Now, are you ready for this one? Boy, you're going to love this one. She is asked, who did you speak to? Who did you speak to? And her answer is this. And if you can see it on the screen, all the orange is not the answer to the question. And that little bit of green that says Dr. Webster right in the middle is the answer to the question. So what we have there is 275 words of an answer to the question, who did you speak to? 2 words with the answer. That means 99% plus of what she said in the answer to this is bluster, is not needed, is filler. Now, I think most of this actually is going to be true. The reason she's using all this filler is it's going to be easy to talk about. It's going to be quite easy to tell a story that she considers to be true or mostly true. It's certainly much easier for her than answering questions about mushrooms and the meals and so on. So that's why I think she's just gone so extra here. Simi says a short story instead of simply a name. Oh, yes. So how does she start it? Well, she starts with the word so, an indication when you're asked, what's the name of the person? So, well, that's not a name. You're going to get a story. You're going to get an explanation. You're going to get a reason. You're going to get something unexpected. Someone answering a question that starts and their answer starts with that word. So then it's a red flag. You're not going to get what you're expecting here. So I walked in. And there was like, I don't know, there was a nurse. And it was like, I don't know, it could have been an enrolled nurse or like it was a helper person in the triage room. What she's just doing here is waffle, because it's very comfortable waffle. So if she can spend 10 seconds saying, instead of saying there was a woman or there was a man, it's just, well, there was a nurse. Well, it might have not been a nurse. It could have been an enrolled nurse. She's just talking crap here to fill the time, but it's comfortable for her. It's not stressful because it's not being asked pertinent questions about the murder. And she was like, are you okay? And I said, well, no, I have to run to the toilet. I've got diarrhea. So I think this is a statement of comfort. It's easy to talk about. It's very likely true, but it's been used to avoid those more uncomfortable questions. So this made me laugh when I listened to it. I have to run to the toilet. I've got diarrhea. And she wasn't quite sure where it was. I think that's the toilet and not the diarrhea that the nurse wasn't sure where it was. And she went and found out and showed me where it was. And then she said, I'll go and find someone. I'll get a nurse or doctor to you. And so I went to the toilet and we've got and so, which is and so storytelling here. So she's really just in this big storytelling groove here. She'll feel really comfortable compared to questions about food dehydration and mushrooms. I came back out and I was waiting in the triage area. And then a doctor came out. Dr. Webster, there's the answer to the question. How long has it taken her to get there? Dr. Webster is the answer to the question. And he said to me, sorry, we're going to be a little while because we've got a couple of critical patients in the hospital. And I said, that's fine. Don't worry about me. I'm just a gastro case. I'm not urgent, obviously. So she's playing down what is going on here. Now, why is that? Right? Because think about it. If you'd eaten a meal with people who've fallen seriously ill, would you describe yourself as just a gastro case and not urgent, obviously? Because what she's doing, or what she was doing at the time, I think was pretending to be ill and going to the hospital, pretending to be ill so that she could look ill, look as if she'd suffered the same as the people who had lunch with her, and then, you know, the eyes, the suspicion would be off her. So would she have said at that point, I'm just a gastro case, I'm not urgent, obviously? Or is this leakage of what is going on here, that she was really not ill at all? I'm just a gastro case. I'm not urgent, obviously. And he said, oh, what's your name? And I said, Erin. You'll note here that she's quoting word for word what was said. You know, she's not saying I said something like this, but what we've got is her quoting word for word. So be suspicious when someone starts quoting prior conversations. They're trying to create an image of what happened there, because she then switches into, oh, I can't remember exactly what was said. And he said, oh, we've been expecting you because other people you ate with on Saturday were sick. And he said, can you come through? And I said, sure. And I came in. Man, this is just all filler. And then he said to me, I can't say the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, so she's been very happy to quote innocuous conversations. What's wrong with you? Who are you? Oh, we know some people. But then when we get to death cap mushrooms, all of a sudden she's narrowing it down. I can't remember the exact words. Something along the lines of, we've got a concern. They've eaten death cap mushrooms. And I said, what? And he said, yeah. And that's what we think they've eaten. I said, what? You knew. And then he started asking me about what food I served them. And I told him. So she's got very short on the food again, what food I served, and I told him. No, you know, think about how verbal she has been in the answer to this question. All the words going on about what happened to her, the three descriptions of the nurse finding the toilet that couldn't be found, the toilet that could be found, the long conversation with the doctor that she relays word for word. And then he started asking me about what food I served him, and I told him. She's very, very short there. Also, she starts a couple there with, and then a couple of paragraphs there with, and then, which signifies jumps in time. Just watch out for that. If people are saying, and then, it's a jump in time. I do it myself. I got up this morning and then had a cup of coffee. I got up this morning. There's so many more steps about going downstairs and putting the coffee machine on, etc., etc. I do it to be brief. You'll do it to be brief as well. When someone's under suspicion and they say, and then we do have some jumps in time being shown. Hey to Sheila. What was the question again? Good question, Sheila. The question was, what was the doctor's name? So here, it's a huge statement of comfort. She's really comfortable talking about this trip to the hospital and all the things she doesn't know and the toilet that can't be found. But there's signs of curated storytelling here. And the food is still so sensitive to her. It really, really is. Right, let's have a look and see what comments we've got going on. Panic at the Discourse. She's such a selfless queen with the ballet bags. Immediately let her out. I know what you're saying there. The resume statements just keep on coming. I was ill, but I didn't go to the toilet. I didn't go to the hospital for a long time because I had to pack some ballet stuff. But first of all, I had to look after the animals. We have Blood Dripping Flower saying it's hard to deduce on a noisy bus. That is what the replay is for. You can watch twice Blood Dripping Flowers. Thank you for that. Erin Chase, I walked in unnecessary details. That whole answer was unnecessary details. Erin, again, she feigned illness. We can see there she has the I feigned illness. And Lena says, I walked in, shows tension. Good spot there. Yeah, talking of walking or sitting often denotes some tension in the talking. And my bestie Lauren is there, and she has spotted a just, which was, yeah, I'm just a gastro case, which is not what you would use if you were trying to pretend that you really were as ill as everyone that you'd eaten with. Let's go back into the police interview room. Let's get some more from Erin.
The copy of this, everything we've seized, kitchen far left bottom drawer, instruction manual for a Sunbeam food lab, electronic dehydrator. What's that in relation to? Do you know anything about a dehydrator in your house? Or? Okay. Do you own a dehydrator?
No.
Okay.
I've got manuals of lots of stuff I've collected over the years. I've had all sorts of appliances and I just keep them all in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When did you own a dehydrator?
I don't know, I might have had one years ago.
Okay. What did you use that for?
Like when I first got the Thermomix, I got really excited about like making everything from scratch,
okay.
you know, and
yeah.
I did a lot of, you know, like everything from scratch ingredients, and I did a lot of that, so I could have had something like that.
So, which is one of the most bizarre concepts I've ever heard coming up here. This is the police guy, and he's giving her a statement of the things that they've taken from her house. So he says, "We'll give you a copy of this. Everything we've seized: kitchen, far left bottom drawer, instruction manual for a sunbeam, food layer, electronic dehydrator." What's that in relation to? Bit of silence. "Do you know anything about a dehydrator in your house at all?" And she says, "No." Again, I think this is just a far out lie. "Do you own a dehydrator?" "No," she says. Again, this could be a far out lie, or it could be a personal definition. "I don't own it because I got rid of it shortly after the lunch." He says, "Oh, okay." And she goes extra. She could have shut up at this point, but she goes extra and incriminates herself and says, "I've got manuals of lots of stuff I've collected over the years. I've had all sorts of appliances and I just keep them all in there." So you'll notice, number one, I know I only look at the words, but in logic terms, how the hell do you have an instruction manual for an appliance that's never been in your house, inside your house? Like, what do you do? Collect instruction manuals for things? How would you even go about doing that? Anyway, she does say, and she lets it slip here because she's trying to say, "I've never owned a dehydrator," but she says, "I've got manuals of lots of stuff I've collected over the years. I've had all sorts of appliances." So what she's saying is, I have had a dehydrator, and the reason that I've got the manual for the dehydrator is because I once had the dehydrator. I think she hasn't thought of this too much. Really, she hasn't thought of this ahead of time, and she's stumbling her way around all of this. She says, "And I just keep them all in there." Lauren spotted that. "I just keep them all in there." This is the use of "just" to go, "I just keep them all in there." It's just a very small thing. It's a very, very mere thing. So don't focus too much on this. No suspicion here. "I just keep the manuals in that drawer." It's a general answer. "Do you own a dehydrator?" "No." And she goes all sort of extra there. "When did you own a dehydrator?" she's asked. She says, I don't know. I might have had one years ago." Now, people who were asking for the color coding, anything that's highlighted in green is an honest phrase. And obviously she's lying here a little bit, but she's saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know is quite often truthful. But again, I think we've got personal definitions playing here because when did you own a dehydrator? Well, I could tell you maybe I owned a food dehydrator about 3 years ago. Yeah, okay. Or I could tell you, I don't know the exact dates. I don't know the date I bought it. I don't know the date I got rid of it. So then I can say, I don't know. I don't really know. I think that's what's going on there. But she says, I might have had one years ago. Now, compare that I might have had one years ago to have you ever been into hydrating, which she said earlier. And she is never done any of that. "Oh, I might have had one years ago." So she's really saying now she's got manuals for stuff in her kitchen that she might have had. Are you buying that? Okay, what did you use that for? And this is from the might have had one. What did you use that for? She goes into it and tells them what she used this dehydrator that she might have had for. Like when I first got into thermotics, I got really excited about like making everything from scratch. I did a lot of like everything from scratch ingredients, and I did a lot of that. So I could have had something like that back then. So this is interesting. She doesn't lean on the word like a lot. Lots of people use like. I don't find it particularly suspicious. People use like in their vocabulary a lot, but this has not. Like has not really been something she's been using. She's been kind of that button-down flat person, but she's using lots of likes here. I think that's a little bit of nerves coming up as to why about the questions about this dehydrator. I don't think she's been prepared for this at all, which is why the likes have come up. So here, I don't think she's prepared for the question. I think she feels like master criminal, that she has got away with this, that she has just chucked this dehydrator away on the tip and never to be seen again. "Oh, I forgot the manual is in the kitchen drawer." So I don't think she's prepared for this, and so she flounders, which is why we've got these contradictions of something I might have had, but I did use it for this, but I could have used it for this. She doesn't want to be caught lying, which is why she's offering the coulds and mights, because the worst thing that can happen for someone in her situation is being caught lying. So if they do find out she owns a dehydrator, she can say, "Oh yeah, well, I didn't say I never owned one. I didn't say I didn't own one. I said I could have, I might have. I just kind of forgotten about it," which is why I think she's gone very vague on those coulds and on those mights. Right, let's have a look and see what is being said here in the chat. Now, Erin, I want to know about this one. Resume Scottish style. I probably do say resume a bit strange. It's not even a word we use in the UK very much at all. Shaman Ray says, and then is also storytelling. So that was in the earlier thing of and then this, and then, and then. Panic at the Discourse, flattest effect ever. I get really excited about. Yes, she sounded really excited about cooking from scratch, didn't she? Erin, manuals for a dehydrator she threw in the dumpster she denies having. I mean, it's just fantastic. Panic at the Discourse is correcting the spelling of thermonics. Don't blame me. Blame the software that I use. And Observation Station, Chris Watts says like every other word. So if ever there's a reason not to use your likes, then it is that one there. If Chris Watts uses it, yeah, that's not for me. Right, we've got one last bit from Erin giving this police interview. So let's have a listen to what she has to say.
Other thing that I should mention that, again, to your credit, police went around your house on that morning.
Right.
Yep. On the 31st.
Right.
Yep. And they were obviously responding to the hospital call to check up on you.
Yeah.
And they spoke to you on the phone. And you gave them the PIN code for your gate.
Correct.
And directed them to the bin where there were some leftovers.
Correct.
What are those leftovers that you directed them to?
They were the uneaten food from the lunch.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So you helped them in getting that so it could be sampled.
Because my kids ate the meal too.
Yeah.
But there was stuff that was left over and it went straight in the bin. And so when I went to the hospital and they said they were concerned that everyone ate some contaminated food, I said, well, there's the leftovers in the bin, you can have it.
Yeah.
Feel free to look through it.
Yep.
And I said, I'll go and get it if you want. And they said, well, that's fine, you need to go on a drip. We'll call the police. And I said, well, that's fine, just let them know I need to give them a PIN code.
Yep.
So they did that and a bag of food appeared a bit later.
Yep. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, thank you for helping us locate that.
It's fine.
All right. Anything else, Dave? No. All right. Any questions at the moment?
And that is the very end of the excerpts have been released. That's the end of them. It was very, very short. So he gives her some praise, the police guy. Obviously responding to the hospital call to check on you, and they spoke to you on the phone, and you gave them the PIN code for your gate. She says, correct. I haven't heard correct from her before. I directed them to the bin where there was some leftovers, and she says, correct. Well, this is her getting praise. This is, again, just this real easy style. This is easy for her. You've been a good girl. You've done these things. Yeah, correct. What are those leftovers that you directed them to? Asked the police guy. She says, food. I'm eating food for my lunch. I think that's what she said. It gets very noisy at times here. Food. I'm eating food for my lunch. Leftovers with food? No way. But she's very terse on food again. So I'm not entirely sure of the exact wording that she used there, but you'll notice what were those leftovers? Food is basically the answer. Food and lunch are the two words that are there. She's talking about food again, and she's gone very, very terse and tight in on it. So you help them in getting that so it could be sampled. And she says, because my kids ate their meal too, although listening to it there, it might be that my kids ate the meal too, but my kids ate their meal. If that's what she said, then it's showing that there were two meals going off. There was one that the kids ate and one that the victims ate. But you'll see that the concern for the victims has slipped here, because it's not that, God, I handed over the leftovers straight away so that we could find out what had happened to the people, maybe help them get better because we know what's gone wrong with them or anything like that. No, it's the concern for the kids. First time the kids have come top priority there. Her concern for the victims has disappeared there. Huge, huge, huge red flag. But there was stuff that was left over. Just stuff, not food. Again, just any mention of food, she don't want to go there. And it went straight in the bin. And so when I went to the hospital and they said they were concerned that everyone ate contaminated food, I said, well, there's leftovers in the bin. You can have it. This feels all very helpful, doesn't it? Yeah, it's suspiciously helpful, drawing them into somewhere where she wants them to be, around some leftovers that she knows are innocuous. feel free to look through it. And I said, I'll go and get it if you want. Again, this is all things that make her comfortable. This probably really did happen. She was directing the police guys to some leftovers from the meal that didn't poison everyone, and she's really happy that they go that way. So this is a real statement of comfort. And they said, that's fine. You'll need to get on a drip. We'll call the police. And I said, well, that's fine. Just let them know. I need to give them the PIN code. So they did that. And a bag of food appeared a bit later. A what? How? I don't know. I don't know if the police brought this to the hospital to be tested. I really don't know what happened, but it's a bag of food appeared a bit later. I don't know what she's saying there. But there, in that last one, I would bet my bottom dollar, based on what she is saying there, that the leftovers were of the meal that didn't cause the illness, because it's the most she's spoken about food. She's really opened there to the food. And I think that we've got a difference in how she talks about food. The one that she's really happy for everyone to talk about and look at and pick up samples and go to hospital, she's quite verbose there. It's a bag of food. And, you know, I was really happy for them to go and get these leftovers. When it's talking about death cat mushrooms, zoom. She is really, really locked down there. Whew. So there's a look at that. Now, what have you guys said there? There's a chance for you to get in some general comments on that as well. Erin says, week after week, we spend time here together. I have such affection for my chat buddies. That's beautiful to hear. Thank you, Erin. See, not all Erins are evil. And her kids were her first thought there. Sheila, her kids was still the second thought. The first thought was killing the in-laws there. So that is a little bit of Erin Patterson. Do you want something just to finish this whole live off? I did an episode on this today. It is the most deceptive answer I have ever heard to a question. It's from Nick. I cannot remember his second name, but maybe someone can remind me. Cassiokivas or something like that. Today, he was found guilty of murdering his wife. He was asked yesterday in court, did you murder his wife? This is his answer. You will see so many of the things that we've spoken about listening to Erin Patterson. You will hear so many of the things appear in this very short answer. Cassotis, I've only spelled his name 1,001 times today. Thank you, Panic at the Discourse. Are you ready for this answer?
Did you kill your wife, Mindy Cassotis?
I absolutely did not. I've never put my hands on a woman. I've never hurt a woman. I would never have hurt Mindy.
Wow. If you want to see all the red flags, I've got 11, then check out my latest video on Mr. Cassotis. But also in the comments, someone has spotted about another potentially 3 or 4 red flags, excuse me, in 25 words. Do check that one out. So listen, thank you very much for being here while we delve into the world of Erin Patterson. Not a master criminal, but a very, very nasty woman, given what she did, but also a very sly woman who really thought she could sit in front of the police and try and get away from this. And I think you will see how to spot someone lying in the words, resume statements, words like never. What do they talk about? I really think she was emotional. It was an emotional reason that she killed these in-laws, because she spoke about them in very emotional terms, very positive emotional terms, but she's lying. I think she felt of them in a very negative emotional terms. Hopefully you've learned something, and we will see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.